Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 27th. I probably need to fix my camera a little bit, but we changed things up a little bit, so I hope that you guys like the new what angle we could say. Anyways, markets down significantly. Here's the E-mini down significantly. Now the good news is we're bouncing off of this point of control area at 32.37. So maybe not the end of the world yet. It seems like it's the coronavirus thing that is freaking investors out. Also, Democrats renewing calls to have John Bolton testify, with them releasing some information that John Bolton said that they were going to do it in, oh my, it's going down here on the open. Here's the treasuries. Well, it's significantly higher, in fact, much higher than they were during the whole Iran thing, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but apparently there is some global tension and fears of recession in Europe and so on and so forth. So that's kind of where we're at. Jay Constant says, hello, Bitcoin looking bullish. You always think that Bitcoin is looking bullish, don't you? Let's start the start the YouTube stuff. Sorry, the reader. Okay. The world is on fire, right? It's so stressful when the world's on fire. Does this sound okay to you guys? It sounds to me like a little low, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Doesn't quite sound right to me. Where's my pen? Well, it says the volume's okay. All right, well, we'll try it. Anyways, so there's the opening drive. Quite the sell on the opening drive in the treasuries. Does not yet put it into a place where I can take a trade, but I pretty likely that we're going to be getting shorts. As he says, let's make some money. Is this going to come back? How hard is this going to come back? This is going to be interesting. Volume is good, maybe a little loud now since you fiddled with it. That I might have gotten it too close. Well, I might need to mess with the camera angle a little bit too. This looks like this is like there. There we go. Oh, no. Don't do that. There we go. I need to I do it. Okay. That'll have to do for today. Can only mess with it so much. I liked it better zoomed in on me, but there are some nice things about it being zoomed out. But I think though we need to just get like a cooler room. That's what we need to do. It didn't move. Okay, well I have to wait for another bar before the signal that we've been practicing gives us anything. So pretty strong trend though. I would need another, well, what would we need? Oh, no. We would need to come below like 12 for me to take a trade. Needs to go a bit higher. What, the camera? Yeah, it does. Like, the problem is getting it to stay. There we go. Hey, not too bad. Not too bad. See, I'm gonna need to like deal with this cable management mess over here. Look at all this. Ew, ew. Looks awful. I could switch it back over to being like head on. It would be a little bit higher then, though. And it's tilted. Why is it tilted? We're gonna ignore it. The camera's gonna look a little weird today. Okay, a bit of a pullback. Okay. What about the E-mini? What is the E-mini doing through all this? Inside bar breakout. I don't know. Okay, so, which reminds me, we were having that problem with John, huh? So, do you have... Let's see. Let's double check and make sure that I got the right one. I don't need that.
M says you got a green screen your background.
Got a green screen your background? I mean, I could do that.
Bot says it's that fun house you live in that makes it look tilted.
No. No, the camera is about 1 degree tilted this way. So you can see here this line, and the top line. They're not right. They're not right.
M says Grandma's China doesn't go with the theme.
Grandma's China. Right. Yeah.
Bot says like the one at the fair where all the angles are opposite what you'd expect.
Yeah. Oh, look, I got like a dragon right there. That's the dragon that my wife made for me. I like it. It's one of my most prized possessions, aside from the computer, Okay. So I'm pretty sure that it's in range histogram, but let's...
M says, but hey, was crazy how you saw this move coming Friday.
Well... Oh, it's not in here. Where is it then? Hold on a second. Price pivots. If we do that, what does it want to add? Oh. Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Jerry is awake says good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out...
M says I'm still hold my S puts. Wish I would have held more, of course.
I'm trying to figure out where this day of week thing comes from. So you do have range histogram, right, John? He says he's still in his puts. So I do... It is kind of curious because... You say, Em, that I saw it coming on Friday.
Bot says I hit in TFC levels?
No, this was all... We did all this long before that.
Bot says is it in?
I thought that it was in range histogram here. But you can see... Um, here's the property. Public system, not day of weekly. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. So what was the error that you were getting?
M says the heaving action you notice on the tape.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, so we did see it, but like, we didn't see it. I mean, something crazy happened, and we went with it, and it turned in. And but could you have seen that coming? So I don't feel like I did see it coming, but that's the way it goes. That was like one of the craziest things I've ever seen in order flow. It was just insane. The name week does not exist. The name limit by day of week does not exist. You must not have the range histogram. Do you have this one? So anyways.
Bot says no, I double checked and I do have it.
I'm not quite sure. Which line? Line 58? Price pivots. Right? Height distribution profile. Line 58. Week. Limit by day of week equals false.
Bot says unless you updated it and I have an old version.
No. I mean, this class extends range histogram. So if you don't have range histogram, it's not going to work. And the limit by day of week is a property of range histogram. So it's weird, but maybe you have an older version of it. So try putting the one that I just stuck in there. So anyways, back to what M was saying about how we saw this move coming on Friday. I mean, we did see the order flow come up, right? Pretty wild order flow on Friday, but the degree to which the E-mini opened lower and the treasuries opened higher over the weekend it just is absolutely stunning to me. I cannot believe I cannot believe that it came that far. That is just wild stuff to me. I'm trying to get everything centered here. I'm being super finicky. Sorry about that. There we go. And good morning, Jerry, by the way. Well, there's a strong down move. Oh, this is interesting. So in the equities, they come back there. And so we were around, where was it? 42. We were around 42. We came up to 44. And we touched 41 and now back. The treasuries are consolidating back where they were.
M says if you want to go down the rabbit hole a little, the big players were exiting their positions last week. Darkpool showed it.
Oh, totally. So, but that kind of brings me back to the bigger question, though, because don't get me wrong, the coronavirus thing is serious still.
Bot says that fixed its. Scooter grinning face with big eyes.
Okay, thanks. Cool. I'm glad. Sorry, I don't think that the Adderall has completely kicked in. I feel a little disorganized, but we got that thing out of that's one distraction out of the way. So coronavirus is a serious thing. Okay, it's not like the end of the world or anything like that, but China is shutting down cities. I mean, that's serious stuff, guys. Serious stuff. And it's definitely going to impact their economy. Now, the thing that I find interesting about it is SARS was like 8,000 cases, I think, and this has gotten to like 1,500, 2,000 cases now. We keep hearing these reports that like people are inundating the hospitals. I'm really skeptical about those reports, personally, because they're not,
M says
you
2003
know,
Sarah 1% GDP loss for China.
oh, it was a 1% in SARS. Um, Okay, SARS rather. SARS was a 1% GDP loss. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I see these reports that like the hospitals are being inundated, and I am like skeptical of those ones because you could just get widespread panic, right? Like everybody thinks, oh no, I have a cough, I must have coronavirus, I need to get in or I'm going to die immediately, and that's just not the way it works, right? Like you might not have contracted it, and um most healthy people will get over it just fine. And so when you create that widespread panic, it just inundates the hospital and prevents the people that really need treatment from getting it. And I'm sure that that is part of what is going on when they say that like there's so many people in the hospitals and things like that. So I don't necessarily doubt the official numbers. And the thing is that if China was like really fudging the numbers on that
M
sort of a
says
thing,
25% of SARS death from medical staff. Worst place to go is hospital.
hmm. Oh yes, okay, good point. I don't think that the Chinese government would intentionally lie about this particular thing because it would put them in such a bad spot with the World Health Organization and internationally and everything. I think that their tendency now, after the whole SARS thing, is to be overly open about it. So I think that I personally believe that the numbers that they're giving us right now, in terms of the number of confirmed cases, is probably accurate. But it sounds like that this thing can incubate for 15 days before you even see symptoms. So we're not going to know the full extent of the pandemic until, like later this week, essentially, which puts us in kind of a difficult spot, right? um, so here you get the stock market is looking at this and it just sounds like it's getting worse and worse and worse, and they're super triggered. And then you put
M
on
says
top
the
of that,
scientist doing the math on this. If the numbers are close to right, it's bad.
okay. So do you have a link to me to somebody that's done the statistics about how far this is actually going to go in this particular case? Because after a certain number of, there's a certain point at which in order to get they have to do statistical analysis to see how many people were infected. M says, sure, just give me a minute. All right.
M says
Um,
sure on memento.
so you got that whole thing going on. Is the markets overreacting to it? I don't know. And like one of the other things is that treasuries do tend to be up towards the end of the month. So it's the 27th. I mean, I would expect us to move up a little bit. That would be perfectly normal to be going up. But then like it, this much, and then the equity is also crashing. Like if the treasuries were elevated and equities were down a little bit, then I would maybe understand that. But equities down big time and treasuries like really elevated is like, are they?
M says have you seen
You
Event
know,
201?
no, I've never heard of that before. I felt like I was not as educated on pandemics as I would like, so I tried watching that Netflix documentary, but I don't feel like I learned all that much from it, unfortunately. Hmm. 22.
Bot says is this set to calc on bar close for a reason?
Which one? The price pivots? Or the histogram ones? I think the histogram ones, there's no reason for it to calculate on bar close, but
Bot says height distribution.
uh I mean that's just the default for the indicator, but I don't think that it's going to change. It shouldn't really do a whole lot until the end. Right. Well, with this particular indicator, this is the thing that's fun about this one is that the on bar close method isn't really important to it because it's watching the price pivots. It creates a price pivots indicator, and
M
when the
says the
price
Bill and
pivots
Melinda
triggers,
Gates Foundation,
it
the
should
Johns
update.
Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and the World Economic Forum co-hosted an event in NYC.
It's not plotting
Bot
anything.
says it's not plotting anything.
Okay. When I had that happen the first
M
time,
says where policymakers, business leaders, and health officials work together on a simulated coronavirus outbreak.
Do you
Bot says indicator pane is blank.
Do you see anything in the output? The output window? Well, I'm really tempted to short it on the theory that it go to 16 to 12, but I need to wait for
Bot says no.
2 bars below the 15. That's a little weird, actually, John.
Sebastian Marquez says hi Seth from Chile.
Hey, Sebastian, welcome back. I remember you from last week. I remember. I don't know, John. Man, that's weird. I mean, I had some weird stuff with it not working at first. Why is Spotify open? I don't need you. But I mean, if it's doing that, it perhaps. Oh no, wait. Did you update your price pivots? That's why. You need to download the new version of price pivots. Oh no, wait. You did update your price pivots.
Lucas says hi all.
I gave you 3 version. I gave you 3 files there. You have to have that new price pivots for it to work too. Okay,
Bot says yes, I did.
Yes, it did. I don't know. Or probably have
Sebastian
to debug
Marquez
it.
says you speak funny Spanish grinning face with big eyes.
I don't speak Spanish. I was a LDS missionary, and for 1 month I was with a Spanish companion, and I did my hardest to learn Spanish. And then
Bot
ever
says
after
yes,
that,
I installed the update you posted last night.
Oh, that's weird. It should work, but I'm sure there's little issues. It always frustrates me when the indicator works on my machine and then I give it to John and it doesn't work. It's really annoying. Okay. This camera, every time I look up at the camera, when I'm looking up at you guys, and it's tilted to the side, is driving me crazy. So I'll go fix it.
Satan says person running dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife person kneeling dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife person walking dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife man dark skin tone motorized wheelchair kitchen knife woman dark skin tone probing cane kitchen knife person shrugging dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife Santa Claus dark skin tone kitchen knife police officer dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife construction worker dark skin tone male sign kitchen knife man dark skin tone rocket kitchen knife person dark skin tone wrench kitchen knife man dark skin tone artist palette kitchen knife orangutan kitchen knife gorilla kitchen knife monkey face kitchen knife confused face. Fazula Tazabayev says hi all.
Hello. I'll turn that off for a little bit. All right. I think that if I sit here. Oh, it needs to be pointed up just a tad. probably too much. Yes, that's good. Now tighten it down. All right. There we go. That's so much better. Is that better? I think that's better. I don't know if they're ever going to give me a trade today, to be honest. They stopped. They stopped there at that 22. It looks like they might turn back up a little bit, but I mean, this moving average, this longer term moving average would, they'd have to really push below that. We'd have to have a really big down day for me to take a trade, and that might not happen. Mm. Probably also have the lights on too bright, but whatever. I'll look at it when I get home if it's too bright. For some reason, when I'm looking at this one, or I look at it right here, and this one has better color. It looks okay to me. But then I'll get to work. And I'll look at it and be like, oh, this doesn't look right at all.
Uzi Knesset says earthquakes, volcanoes, threats of war, pandemics, political turmoil, good time for the end of days, religious folk right now.
Yeah. Well, something that I've been looking at that I find really interesting is, the reason that, that, like the openness attribute, some people that just aren't very open to other people and other cultures and new ideas and things like this. One of the reasons that trait exists is because you're likely to catch diseases from foreigners because you just don't have the immunity. And this is where this concept of foreigners being dirty. Of course, nowadays we understand pathogens a lot better, and so we understand it, and we realize that that's not really what happens. But, there's a reason that that's a thing. And it's kind of interesting to me just because that's something that we really haven't had to deal with for a long time in our society. You know what I mean? There, that fixes it. Haven't really had to deal with that in our society recently. So you've kind of got these guys that aren't very open to other cultures and have been screaming for the past 10 years about, here are the dangers of this particular thing. And now all of a sudden they're getting like a huge boost in terms of here's why you should be more concerned about that. So I'm sure that the end of days type people are having a field day out there and are like super triggered. Like, normally it's been the liberal people that have been triggered. It's going to be the conservative people that are going to be triggered by this. I when I go and I look at the Donald subreddit, like, and I'm sorting by new or top this hour and looking at the new posts, there is so much conspiracy theory nonsense about this.
Uzi Knesset says, and I am just gonna be sitting here tiring to make some money, person shrugging.
Right. There is so much, like they're all in on this conspiracy theory that the Canadians developed the coronavirus and gave it to China, and China intentionally released it on its population, and as just like total. I mean, come on. Sure, I suppose it's plausible and possible, but there's absolutely nothing to lead us to believe that that's what actually happened, right? Is just loonies being loony. But it just falls right in line with like certain people have a propensity to be a certain way about this, right? So I guess this is where I'm saying that, like, in terms of for us making money, I think that the assumption that I'm going into this with is that the markets are going to be incredibly irrational.
IQ says who is short ZB? Uzi Knesset says I heard about the virology labs in Wuhan. I mean, the concept of an accident is very real. It's also something no one would want to admit to, lol. Bot says you read that on Zero Hedge.
It was on Zero Hedge, but I'm pretty sure that all this stuff originates on 4chan. I, because this is the 4chan guys that do it. So you don't know, like, this whole thing about Russian bots, and they say, oh, Russian bots are pushing this. So if you were to look, I don't think that website is up anymore. But I bet you that if you were to look at what Russian bots are tweeting about, that's what they would be tweeting is that this conspiracy theory about the Wuhan virus being an escape, an engineered virus. But the whole thing is, I'm not convinced that that network ever was Russian bots. I think that the majority of those bots are created by nerds in their basement that love 4chan, and that they just happened in that particular instance to get influenced by Russians, and so they were using, you know, and that's why they all got created as part of the Russian bot network. And since they never told us which accounts it was tracking, we can never know for sure. Um,
M says event 201 is nice. They go over the steps of how this plays out.
hmm.
Part 2 goes over trade and travel. Uzi Knesset says can't they tell whether or not viruses are engineered?
Well, they can sequence the genome and they can determine if the genome has come from, uh, is likely to have been inherited from a engineered genome. Yeah, they could, but they've already sequenced it, right? So if that was the case, the U.S. government would already know. That's what was actually going on. Hmm. So a pretty big order at 24. They're not able to go into it, but I think that he's going to force them down into him. Good morning, Ace.
Ace Trade says morning.
I'm reading everything out manually because somebody was spamming earlier. So that's exactly why we have it like that.
Ace Trade says got a short sitting at 3,243.50. Might be good for a point.
So I see his short. I definitely see the potential for it there. I'm not going to take it myself because it's Monday. And well, I want to save myself for later in the week because we got, like, FOMC and all that stuff. It's kind of an interesting setup. I can't really remember the time that we've been elevated because of news, because of FOMC.
Ace Trade says yeah, I heard that. Ace Trade says lol, you never do.
I've been mirroring most of them, but I've been avoiding trading on Mondays because Mondays never works out well for me. And I'm just interesting to me that he says it might be good for a point, and I'm like, okay. So he's not taking a trade expecting it to just completely fall apart. Hey, Sam.
Sam's Travel says trading futures now as well. Good luck. 47 minutes till market open. Sam's Travel says asterisk 37. Ace Trades says I know, I'm just teasing you. I make bad calls as well as decent calls.
I'm well, I'm frustrated. So we had like 2 weeks ago, and I was taking a bunch of them, and the signal just wasn't working very well. And it was like, it's not supposed to do that, right? And he says like, yeah, it's not supposed to do that. And I was starting to get like a little, like, is somebody fading it, or like, why is it? That's really bizarre, right? And I think that at this point in the market, like, you'd be surprised how few actual humans are trading this. But it's probably not the case. But I was just like, it was really wigging me out that all of a sudden it wasn't working. And then on Friday, I saw the setup, and I took it with him, and I said, okay, well, I've been having a hard time with these running, and it seems that the expectancy here is that I shouldn't let them run until I can have multiple contracts to do that with. And I don't want to do multiple contracts right now. I don't want to take that much risk. So I only took the 8 ticks that got the $10, and it just like totally went. Like, I could have held that and made like $200 if I had held it all day. I couldn't believe that it was that strong.
Ace Trades says no one knows what the market is going to do on the next tick, second or day.
Nope. Nobody knows for sure.
Ace Trades says moving short to 3,243.75.
It was so this came up on also on Reddit. So on the Wall Street Bet subreddit, there was a discussion about technical analysis, because most of the people there are, it seems, are super anti-technical analysis. Now, I'm anti-technical analysis, but when I'm like, technical analysis doesn't work, I am I am primarily saying that, um, analysis of a market based purely on price doesn't have edge. That's the main reason why I say that. There's Gary.
Gary Rich says well good morning Corona creatures.
Um. Anyways, so they're all talking about why technical analysis doesn't work. And the thing that I'm find interesting about that discussion, and why I say that the definition of technical analysis has become too broad, is because when you read the people's comments in there, their their point is not that technical analysis doesn't work. Really, their point is beyond that. They're saying that you cannot, predict short term movements in capital markets with positive expectancy. That's what they seem. That's what they're saying, or a lot of people are saying that. And I think most of us, like the order flow people, we don't say that you can't analyze something and find a short term edge, and you can, right? I mean, I think that we've pretty confident we've shown that you can. It's just, I'm not so sure that you can do it just with price. I'm sure 4450. Oh, that is a really good one. I'm seeing where I see us on the hour at the moment is a little curious. This little indicator that, should we call it an indicator? This one over here. This top top middle chart, that little magenta line. I don't know if you can see it, but we've been zigzagging back and forth, and so that line zigzags back and forth. Interesting. So that was the line that Uzi gave us, right? And Uzi, I'm wondering if that says, hey, don't touch it. Is that what that means?
Gary Rich says on the 24th a note was put out how the yen was bidding up due to coronavirus. At times FX gives a tell before it occurs. Uzi Knesset says it does lol.
Yeah, that one's kind of saying to me that I'm not catching a trend. I'm not catching a trend. If I take a trade here, it's going to be a range bound trade. It does not look to me. You notice here they ticked up, weren't able to build much of a bid at all, and it came back down. And that wasn't like the first time either. Too squiggly, no wiggly, lay flatly. Okay. Now looking at Rich, looking at the one that we have from Rich. Okay. Fisher Transform says maybe we're down a little bit too much. Well, I mean, it's not extreme, right? Also, we're in range. ATR is pretty low. We're getting like 2s on them. So we're definitely stuck in the mud here before the mini open. If you open the first report, third page, nice chart showing where it is heading. Yeah, I mean, the thing is I'm just not convinced, I guess, that this is all coronavirus. I guess was kind of the thing that I was trying to get at from before. It seems to me that people are already concerned about growth in Europe. You notice that a lot of the up movement has been during the European sessions. Says definitely not Corona. Yeah, it's definitely not all Corona.
Uzi Knesset says if you want to be a cowboy, you can go for one tick on an open above or below that midline, lol. Whichever side the current candle opens on, take trade for one tick, lol. Gary Rich says man I miss the days when I get this morning report, Euro, Americas, levels with all asset classes, a 10 minutes read. M says yay market was topping, and now we have big funds having to leverage. M says deleverage.
I wonder why I've got. Hold on. I'll look at something here. Which one is it? It's this one. No, that's not it. Oh, I need to apply. That's first of all. No, that's not it. I'm trying to figure out how to make OBS so that it's not always on top.
Lucas says took 2 points. Went short too early before and took a loss, but this compensates.
But I don't see it. It's so annoying. Oh,
Ace
well.
Trades says 2 points.
Good job, Ace. Okay, wow. I was thinking about taking it on Sim, but I got distracted. I don't think that I'm ever going to get a trade, to be honest.
Ace Trades says more to come.
It's going to be interesting. So you want to hold it, huh?
Lucas says also took 2 ticks in ZN at the same time. I think I will have to decide between treasuries
Oh,
and
yeah.
S. Can't concentrate on 2 trades at the same time on both markets.
Totally, Lucas. And not only that, but when you try and switch between them, it's problematic. So I'm noticing in myself that it worked best for me when I have like a switch. So like I'll trade the treasury, and then when we get to the top of the hour, I'll take that E-mini trade, and then I'll either stay doing the E-mini if that's the market that's moving, or I'll switch back
Lucas
to treasury.
says also risk is much higher cause I am opposite of being hedged lol.
Yeah. And so there's that helped. That helped me because you have to get yourself into the mode of the one market or the other. So then how do you determine which one to take, right? So it depends on what's moving us. For me, if stocks are moving up, if stocks are moving up, then I usually want to take the trade in the E-mini. You want to take the one that's causing the move. So if the E-mini is moving up and then treasuries are moving down because the economy is good, I'd rather be long the E-mini. Because what you'll find is that the correlation like never falls through. Like you say, oh, E-mini is going up, so treasuries should go down, and I'll take the short in the treasuries. But then what happens is the E-mini does move, and the correlated instrument doesn't go. So take it in the market that's moving it, if that makes sense at all. Conversely, if the E-mini is going down, I mean, that is the market that's moving. So then at that point, it depends on what kind of a trade I'm really hoping for. Like if the piece of news that just came out is something that makes me extremely negative over the midterm, and I think that this is like a trend day, then I want to take it in the E-mini. Because if I can take it in the E-mini, I can take it and just let it run. If I can catch a spot and let it run. But if it's a situation like
Lucas
right
says,
now,
what do you do when they're both moving and are correlated? This is what's happening now.
If I'm doing it like right now, I'm not 100% sure if this coronavirus is a thing. It looks to me like that the treasuries have the possibility of coming back.
Let's see how brave and bold the participants are at the open and 10:30 est. Do they drop it to the previous session low or bounce it up? Thinking face, this is the way we wash them out, la la la.
Yeah. So in this case, I think I would rather trade the treasury. Especially on Friday, I would have rather have traded the treasury. Because you take it in the E-mini, you might catch a little thing and then have it come back on you. Whereas if I can take it in the treasury, I can just catch a small scalp off of everybody panicking, But I always get into that. Remember that markets are easier to make money on when they're moving up, right? When money's coming into that market, there tends to be more money coming into a futures market when it's moving up versus when it's moving down. There are some cases where that's not true, but in generally speaking, right? Like the only time that wasn't true in treasuries was when they were really shorting it, like they were going short treasuries after Donald Trump got elected and after they went below 4% on the 10-year or whatever it was. Right. But otherwise, it was always easier to make money when the treasuries were moving up. So if I think that it's a short-term panic move, I buy the treasuries. And then the rest of the time, you're probably better in the E-mini. But it's all based when you're saying like they're correlated. they are correlated, but like, what is the news that's actually moving that market? Does that news matter more to treasuries or equities? Right, like a 1% decrease in global GDP from China, I say probably affects equities more, but it's also a short term thing. So which market is it going to move based off of the fundamentals of it, and then what time frame are you looking at, and then I determine which one to take. Is how I've been doing it recently, at least. So I don't know if that's the best way to do it. Because Gary was telling me yesterday about how he was doing spreads with the equities. In other words, he was looking at the Dow, Nasdaq, and S&P 500, and looking at which one was moving up more and which one was lagging, and then choosing which one of those instruments to take based off of that. So that's another way that you could take it. Is you could do like a long treasuries, long E-mini spread, and see what it does, and take it based off of which side of that spread is moving more. Well, that guy at 24, I don't think he ever got filled, did he? Nope, he did not. Oh, well, there was a bit of a sell there. They ticked up. He must have moved his order up. Okay. Must have moved his order up.
Gary Rich says the 10 years moved 20 bits per second. That's a big move in such a short time period. It's a clear indication of short-term risk-off. For now, of course this could change in 4 hours, lol.
Mm-hmm. But it's not like it's...
Lucas says at ACE Trades, I see what you did there at that short, that was smart. I went in right at the edge but you waited for confirmation.
Think about this time of year last year in the treasuries, right? Different kind of a move, I think. This is like a short-term volatility move, whereas yesterday it was like we're in this for the year sort of a thing, right? So last year it was definitely like short E-mini long treasuries. It was a longer term trade in the treasuries versus this one right here. They might just completely collapse and be back to where we were on the end of Friday by the end of today, especially if the E-mini comes out and they buy. Like Gary was saying, let's see if they've got balls. I know that in OBS there's a property about keeping it on top, but I can't find it. They've like gotten rid of it or something. It's kind of driving me a little crazy. So I keep thinking, oh, I'd like to have something go over top of it, but then it doesn't. Yeah. Zero Hedge tweeting, only a markets in turmoil on CNBC can save us now.
M says I'm not in USA at the moment. Are people getting concerned with corona yet?
Well, I am not seeing like people uh, around me really caring too much about it other than the passing curiosity with the news. I'm not really seeing people on social media talking about it significantly. And so, yeah, it seems like not. I think the thing with the United States, like I said, and this is maybe a little bit working theory, but evolutionary psychologists claim that the openness attribute
Uzi Knesset
emerges
says
because
Saturday
of
night I was
disease.
watching YT videos about coronavirus at the dinner table while we were eating Chinese food. Lol.
I think you're okay as long as you weren't eating bats. That's the thing that like throws my mind is
Gary
like, who
Rich
eats
says,
a
did you laugh
bat?
at my texts on Discord? Financial F.Airy. Oh, I'm so funny.
Why is that? Who eats bats? Is that like a common thing in China, or is it like a passing, oddity, kind of like how you can go and eat, cow balls or something somewhere? This is just so weird. Oh, that's a good down. It's curious to me that we've stayed below
Ace
Uzi's
Trade
line.
says it. Lucas, thanks, bro.
We've had some bars that came up above it and then they still
Uzi
closed
Knesset
down.
says Chinese eat anything. Lol. That Wuhan market sold wolf puppies for fuck's sake.
What? Is it just, but I mean, did they do it because they're just willing to eat anything? And some people say, oh, yeah, I really like the taste of wolf. Or do they eat it because it's a novelty? You know what I mean? It's just bats. Good grief. I feel like
Gary Rich
eating
says
bat
the
would be
scary part
asking
of this
for it.
coronavirus. It has a 14-day incubation period before you know.
Right.
Holy crap, Batman.
And apparently you're contagious during that time period, which means that it could be a very and that means that we're not really going to know the full extent of this thing until like later this week, right? If not the beginning of next week. It could spread big time. But anyways, evolutionary psychologists would say that the openness attribute exists in part because of diseases. Because if you weren't very open to outside cultures and people, then you were less likely to get sick from them.
M says 8K Chinese arrive in USA daily on average.
So, if that's the case, you know, if we're just looking at that openness attribute, what do you think Americans tend to be on
Uzi
openness?
Knesset says I have no doubt that the taste of the meats are similar to normal meats in most respects. But like bats and wolf puppies sold by random person at a bazaar? NYAAAAAAH.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. So I would say that Americans in general are extremely open. In fact, they're probably the
Live
most
Action
open
says they
people on the
torture the
planet.
dogs first. Disgusting.
Which means that Americans are probably more likely to underestimate the risk. They're not going to be triggered by it and that they'll underestimate the risk. And that's what I seem to be seeing is like when I go on Reddit and people are talking about it and I'm like, well, we really have no clue how
Gary Rich
bad
says
it's gonna
imagine
get.
you go to the clinic for let's say wink wink test. Sir, 14 days notice, you go through your Tinder, Grinder thinking what did I do 2 weeks ago?
Gosh. Anyways, I think that Americans are likely to underestimate it. And here's the thing. we haven't had a serious epidemic in the United States with disease
Uzi
since like
Knesset says I smoke a
1917.
shitload of cigarettes. Coronavirus would be a welcome death for me but I'm probably too young. I'd just be in bed for a week lol.
Look at the way that they hit into 27.5 there.
Gary Rich says I'm sick in the head.
Well, the E-mini might be suggesting a turn there.
M says did he just cough?
No, that's one of the kids upstairs. They've been sick. They've been having fever on and off. I don't know what's causing that. Oh, look at that.
Uzi Knesset says
5K
grinning,
into
squinting
27.5.
face.
He stacked a little bit more on it, though. He's holding it there. It's actually now in a spot where I could potentially take it. No, it's not. It's not. If they started hitting into 26 in ZB, then I could potentially take it. Taliban says it has shot down a plane carrying U.S. military personnel in Ghazani. Taliban says all personnel on board the plane were killed, including high-ranking officers. That's not good. I was also hearing about some volatility in Baghdad last night, so that could also be part of why we're quote-unquote elevated. If I see it build some volume at 26, then I can take it. No, I need that adaptive CCI going up too. It's a little questionable at this spot. Experts said a vaccine for the 2019 novel coronavirus will be developed in 1 month at the earliest, as the Center for Disease Control of Xinjiang province
Uzi
isolated
Knesset says
a virus
surprised
of high
CB
tiers on
didn't make a run at filling that overnight gap.
Surprised ZB didn't fill the gap. Well, we're now right to where we had the open. I don't think I can take it still. Okay. Maybe right there. Hold on. No. Doesn't make sense. I think it qualifies. I think it qualifies. Well, this will be really useful, I think. So there it is on the 5 minutes. We got 2 bars. Here it is on the 15 minutes. We got 2 bars, but this one wasn't completely above it. And I don't know what the CCI on this bar is going to be. So they never built the volume at 26. Now they're at 28 and they're building volume. So like it does kind of suggest that we could take it, but okay, well, they busted through a 10K order there at 28.5 way too easily. But the E-mini did overextend there,
Gary
so
Rich says
I don't know.
actually like higher volatility. It makes me super focus. I've been waiting patiently for this volume spike. Unfortunately, it only lasts for a short duration. I have a special playlist for high volume.
Yeah. I tend to do well in high volatility, but that's when it starts to really destroy my psychology, because I'll get nervous. I'll get in a trade and it starts to make me nervous, and then I'll do well, and I'm like, yay, and then I overextend, or I think that the nervousness is not helpful emotion. Local media now reporting China's stock markets will resume on February 3rd instead of January 31st, both Shanghai and Shenzhen exchanges. So they're going to delay it by 3 days. The Lunar New Year. Stay shut for longer because of coronavirus. Curious.
Uzi Knesset says that nervousness is what leads to closing great trades early.
Yeah,
I know that feel low.
It could. Because at that point, part of it is you realize how much risk you're taking.
Gary Rich says, Seth, is it true Mormons frown on drinking coffee?
It's true. No tea, coffee, tobacco.
Sebastian Marquez says
alcohol,
5 minutes.
Other harmful drugs. I hate the smell of coffee. I really don't like it. 44.57 at 28.5. Well, now it's at 28.
Uzi Knesset says well shit, I'm the devil lol.
Can I really buy it here? No, I can't. It's too close to the E-mini open. The momentum indications that I'm getting is saying long. Oh, did Donald Trump announce his peace plan? Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shatia on Monday urged international powers to boycott U.S.
Uzi
President
Knesset
Donald
says
Trump's
yeah let
peace
the
plan,
S do its opening shakeout first.
which they see as biased towards Israel. I was reading stories, people like news outlets trying to front run
Lucas
this.
says up finger.
They were trying to front run the Donald Trump's peace plan, and they were basically saying that it gives Israel everything that they want and the Palestinians nothing. And I was a little confused. Like, how is that a plan that they think has any chance of being accepted?
Gary Rich says it Uzi well I'm with ya. Now it's super beats, 1 cup of coffee only.
Or is it just a opening negotiation point and they're going to give up on like the settlements and stuff? It was just so confusing to me. So let's see how that goes. Well, down 2 ticks.
Uzi Knesset says I do 1 cup in the morning on average, sometimes I skip it. But if that 3 p.m. hits and I am dragon ass I'll do another.
Well, I feel like that this action right here suggests to
Lucas
me that
says
they're
damn
gonna
they
try
shot
and
us
buy
military
on
plane?
open. But supposedly the Taliban shot a U.S. military plane. Watch.
Uzi Knesset says it's coffee or a robust cocaine habit. I choose coffee lol.
I'll take it. I'll take it in a sim. All right, they're gonna buy it.
Gary Rich says I mean the S is up 20 PTS from the low, but not much more, it's in a holding pattern.
I obviously I think that the probabilities here are like really low, but I have a really strong feeling that they're gonna buy on the open. Update on coronavirus testing in the UK. 73 were confirmed negative and 0 positive.
Lucas
Okay.
says at Uzi Knesset what about replacing sugar for cocaine in your coffee?
What? I just don't like the smell of coffee. It's way too strong. It smells to me like something that you definitely wouldn't like the first time you take it. It smells to me like something that must be an acquired
Uzi
taste.
Knesset says lol I don't put sugar in my coffee. Uzi Knesset says just a little hazelnut creamer.
Oh, there you go.
Block by.
What?
Lucas says good, cause cocaine doesn't taste like sugar. Lucas says I mean a friend told me.
I mean, okay, so that block buy in the treasury kind of makes me think maybe I'm wrong, but okay, here's the open. They take me out
Bot
on the
says
open.
there goes the ZB higher.
Oof.
Uzi Knesset says astonished face. Uzi Knesset says grinning squinting face. Gary Rich says at Uzi snort VB12 powder. That's what they use in the movies as cocaine prop, serious.
B12. What the what? Okay, well, when we were looking at it earlier, we were looking at like 29, right? So I suppose that you
Uzi
could have
Knesset
gotten
says
it,
snorting things just sounds shitty lol.
but you would have sat through a pretty ugly pullback first. So yeah, I think we let this play itself out a little bit first.
Gary Rich says be patient and wait 10 minutes to see what they do.
Yeah, I want to have some fun clicking around on the DOM here in the open though. So I'm traded it with a sim order there. Well, they got above. They're back above 2236,
Bot
but
says ZB stalling at 162.01.
Okay. Well, it's a little bit of extension there. It looks like that people are fading it though. Look at that.
Uzi Knesset says clickety clack, give that money back.
Oh man, we need to make a a book with all of Uzi's great rhymes. Hey, not bad. Not bad. Move my stop to break even.
Uzi Knesset says this a sim trade?
It's a sim trade. It's a sim trade. I know, like you're looking at it and getting excited, like, dang, Seth, that was a good pick.
Sam's Travel says long NQ $90,000. Let's see how it goes.
Don't tell me that.
Uzi Knesset says all ya good ones are sim lol.
I know, right? Well, I think there's a reason for that, though, right? At least for this one, the reason why this one is working so well is because the risk was so high.
Lucas says lol.
I mean, right there on the open, we're opening down. The market is net selling, and you're gonna buy it into all those
Lucas
people in
says
your
in
face.
no fear.
Yeah, and no fear, and it doesn't affect your decision making process at all. Well, not affect. I mean, like the psychology of it is different, so that's not as big of a problem. You're gonna make a better decision, essentially. Well, now that if we get above 32.45.25, so this is why they're putting up a sneak right here, is that's the open of the previous hour. So far we basically just retraced all of that selling in the hour or so that we've been here. So they'll put up a fight, but I think that those buyers are going to win. So you notice that on the cumulative delta, that they were selling it here. They were trying to fight it.
Gary Rich says okay boys bold call. I'm looking for longs now on the big three.
Bold call. Still not able to hold that previous hour's open yet. So if John is still listening, this is that spot that I'm talking about again, right? Is there's certain key candles and they end up being really congested. So if we were not already long and we were looking for another entry, this is not a place where you could probably take a long with 8 ticks of risk, right? We already give up a lot.
Sam's Travel says sold for 15 points, quick $224 profit, FKN love scalping. Sam's Travel says I trade via CFDs by the way, can't see the order flow.
I love to hear you guys' trades, and I love to know when you guys like I try and keep track of like when do they what kind of markets do they tend to do well in and things, but don't tell me how much it is. Just because then I'll just be thinking, oh, that's a ton of money, and it'll just make me nervous for you. Okay. Okay. Go, 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 go. Push, push. Nope, not that time.
Bot says I'm listening but don't understand that last comment you made.
So if we come back over to this chart, we have here an outside bar. Okay. So say you're in here and it's an inside bar and you want to take it long at 32, 45, 75. Okay. Is that an area that you can take 4 ticks of risk? No. The key turning points that are identified by the T4 strategy tend to be extremely congested. In fact, I dare say it's probably better to already have a trade on, wait for them to get to that spot and exit in those locations. Just because the amount of risk that you have to take is really a lot. Now, I mean, I know that this is like an up close, like this is an outside bar and everything, and it's a different setup, but I'm just saying, I'm noticing as we've been watching this, that anything that is like the close or open of a key time frame, for instance, this open from the previous hour bar,
Sam's Travel
will be
says, haha,
congested.
sorry bud, no more profits mentioned, points only.
Yeah.
Live
and
Action says 1,000 and 2,000 block trades just shorted ZN.
knowing how many ticks you caught is definitely a lot more useful to me anyways. Anyways,
Bot says no, the entry on that outside bar that formed at the open would be 1 tick above the open of the bar that follows it.
1 tick above the open of the bar that follows it. So at 32.46, right?
Bot says, but his mantra is to kill your losers small.
Yeah. 32.46. But that's where I'm saying, like, what are the chances that they touch 22.45 here? If you had just taken it at 46, right? It's super volatile in this spot. And see, I'm betting that if you're trading stocks, it's maybe not such a bad thing, because then that means that you're likely to be able to get filled and not
Bot
be
says
noticed
no,
and stuff.
44.25.
44.25. Oh, okay. Oh, you're right. Sorry, they close. Anyways.
Bot says 1 tick above the open of the bar that followed that opening bar.
But it's the 32.45.25 that I find more interesting. That was the open of the hour before us. That was like the open of the 6:30 hour bar or 8:30 Eastern time bar. And it's very clear that they're disputing that line in the sand. Now, I happen to think that we could go higher just because I did not see the stop out, and the cumulative delta on this session is still negative. Otherwise, I think that $50 would be a great take. $28. The treasuries are definitely stalling here, by the way. Forex Live, sharply lower opening for U.S. stocks on coronavirus fears. Oh, I thought that the stock market was down because they were mourning Kobe Bryant's death. No? By the way, did you, like on your social media, was there a lot of people talking about Kobe Bryant? 'Cause I was surprised at how much people cared on my Facebook. Everybody was talking about it. I'm like, we're in Utah. I thought that everybody in Utah hated him. Mm-mm. Schiff must release the Inspector General report without changes
Gary
of
Rich
government,
says,
which
by
is
the
set
way,
to
what's your guys' bid
exonerate
ask
the
spread on a
impeachment.
meanie now?
Oops. It's still just one tick. I don't understand the question. I don't think I've ever seen the E-mini with a gap between the bid and the ask.
Luis Alarid says, I live in Los Angeles, big loss here, no area well where he died.
Oh, yeah, I bet in Los Angeles. Okay. I don't know. The cumulative delta is
Bot says my
negative.
social media is my wife, and she told me about the helicopter accident.
Yep. Helicopter accident. My wife said that everybody on her page was talking about it too. I don't know. So if they break the high this time, will we get the stop run or what? Hmm. They kind of kissed it there and no reaction. Yeah.
Luis Alarid says, FYI, I was Kobe's driver in the 90s.
Oh, really? So did you like Kobe on a personal basis? Because people in Utah always hated him, but they're not a fair. They don't know him, of course. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Well, they're a little bit higher there, but I'm still not seeing the stops. Still not seeing the stops.
Luis Alarid says, because of him I left my Laker love.
Because of him, I left my Laker love. What? What does that mean?
Gary Rich says, lol, wonder why the Jazz hate Kobe. He used to torch them on the court. Lol.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say torch him on the court, but there was a couple of times where he stopped us for sure.
Luis Alarid says he was very demanding.
He was very demanding. That's interesting. Oh, that reminds me. I was watching this video the other day. I'm almost hesitant to talk about this, but there in Twitch world, there's
Luis
this
Alarid says,
video.
not appreciative of my hard work.
There's this video
Live
of this
Action
girl.
says, didn't he rape a hotel worker that he made a civil settlement with and had to make in public apology?
It's questionable. She said that he assaulted her, yes, but he never admitted wrongdoing. And the details of that case are, what would we say, complicated? Complicated? I'm still not seeing them stop out. I think I'd still want to see the stop out though. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so in Twitch world there was this clip going around of this girl, and she was complaining that people weren't subscribing to her channel, and people were using it as an example of her of people being entitled or whatever. But somebody, Devin Nash, who's really good at this sort of stuff, then kind of the business side of streaming, and he was showed this video. I'm sure you've seen where they're giving monkeys treats, and you give the monkey like something really nice, like a grape or a nut, and they really like the nut or something to that effect. And if you started giving them the grape instead of the nut as a reward, they start to get upset, especially if they can see that the other monkeys are getting the nice thing. They think it's unfair. And his point on that was, look at how quickly we as humans adjust our expectations, and how dramatically it can affect your psychology when you're not getting what you expect. And I'm sure that happens for an NBA player too. Like things are always nice. You get a certain expectation that becomes unrealistic, but our psychology is unable to realize that or deal with it. And doesn't that ruin us so much when you're trading? Because I tell you what, for me, it's always been, we'll have a period of volatility, and I do super, super great in that period of volatility. And then when the volatility goes away, I give it all back. And I think that one of the causes of that is that my expectations become so warped. I end up going for longs that, looking for way more than I should be trying to get on a trade. This one, I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, maybe I should just take it, but I want to see the stop out. Based on the situation, I should see a stop out. Oh man, how far should I move this up? Okay, maybe now we're starting to get it. I am starting to see the cumulative delta starting to rise. I haven't seen anything that would be like a stop run, but Gary Rich went long 32.51.
Gary Rich says long S 3,251.
That's interesting. Come on. It's a little weird. They're still not just straight up going for it, right? Like, are these guys that are short, are they still all short? I mean, the deltas haven't balanced back out. U.S. Air Force surveillance jet downed in Taliban held territory in Afghanistan. So it sounds like that one's being confirmed. Surveillance jet, though, maybe not necessarily a huge deal. Except for that there was Americans that died. Lucas asking Gary how much risk you take on that one. Well, there was a big order there at 50. And now there's a pretty big bid trying to hold
Gary
it
Rich
up.
says 5 PTS risking 15. But if it goes against me, I'm cutting fast.
All right. You see how quickly it came down there? It's the longs that are puking at the moment, even though we've been moving up. Okay, let's try and get this.
Live Action says 1200 covering that short on ZN for a quick 108K.
I think there's more long in it, but I'm seeing enough distribution in this location that I feel like I should take the profit.
Gary
Is it
Rich
finally
says
gonna
sweet.
go? Is it finally gonna go? Man, look at the way the treasuries come back, and look at the stacking on the offers. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Can I take it short? Questionable. I could take, if I can get that, I'll do it. Is this gonna be the stop run? Okay, there's the E-mini a little higher. Maybe I should have just been more patient.
Lucas says I go for quick 1 points for now. I'd love to take advantage of those long moves though.
Yeah, I really wish that I had, I would really like to take 2 contracts on that and take one off at 8 or whatever, but whenever I try that, I start doing poorly. I think it's just been kind of the luck of the draw mostly. Now it looks like that one's not going to work. So, oh well. So you want to want.
Lucas says I
25
think
to
that
24
takes not only a lot of experience but also good win percent.
Yeah, to really hold them for runners. I mean, not necessarily.
Lucas says but maybe I'm wrong.
So the thing is if you catch as much as we just did there, that was what, 5 points or something? 5 points in the E-mini?
Lucas says no to E-scale into or out of trades.
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
Rich says have you guys noticed how the overnight margin jumped on all the futures markets?
Oh no, I didn't see that. Did it change? The span margins changed? Oh, we got new home sales at the top of the hour. Still haven't seen the stop out, by the way. I don't know if that means you get out, but...
Gary Rich says yep, from months ago.
Oh, okay. New home sales, we're expecting a reading of 730K. Well, it's taking a second look at it. E-mini's dropping here. See, I'm still seeing signs in the price movement that they're distributing here, and that it might even turn down for a swing. Probably should just sit on my hands until... Yeah, I was making a point earlier, and I forgot I was making a point to Lucas. Lucas, if you're making like, 5 times your average loser on a trade, then you only have to be wrong like 10-20% of the time, something like it's not a lot. So but it's hard to trade that way, you know what I mean? But it's definitely better to have something that you can kind of combine, right? So you can take the one contract you have like a high win rate on, and you're likely to get filled like we have with Ace. And then the other contract can go, and if it doesn't go, then the second contract just scratches. So you don't lose anything on that one. And then when it does go, it goes. And when you do something like that, that's when you start to get something with a really high profit factor, right? Because you're able to keep a decent win rate, but also have those big runners. Because when it does run, you get it, and when it doesn't run, you scratch. Or 50% of the time you scratch. But then there will be times where it just goes against you, and then you take the the full stop on both contracts. They're hitting into 26 is where I think I would want to take it here. But I don't know. They might be trading too much at 24
Live action
here.
says low % win rate works best on swings, i.e. placing stop below yesterday low.
Yeah. This is also why when like the action is really wild, and I say, I know it's like really scary and everything, but like sometimes it just makes sense to just close your eyes and click it, because you can catch such a big swing. You could lose that 3 or 4 times in a row and then catch a runner, and that runner will be twice as much as what you lost.
But in futures the heat can be real hot.
You just have to have a probable setup. And since your order flow reads tend to be more reliable,
Gary Rich says
and
3
fast
singles
action.
brings in a run, home run hitting or grand slam equals bad batting averages. Lucas says I was thinning about win % because when it goes against you, you will take the loss on full size. But when you take profits, you take them on partial size. That could cause havoc in your P&L.
Right. But when it's running like 5 to 10 times what your loser is, it's not. See, when it's like me and it's like, okay, I want to take one off at 4 and one off at 8, or one off at 16, something like that. And so like my winner is like 2 times my loser. But then when you take the contracts into account, it's like when you win, it's 3, and when you lose, it's 2. That makes sense. Let me draw it. If we were to take it at 25, okay, we took one off here and one off here, then that is, we get 1, and then this contract that you got was 2. And then if your stop was here, then this is 2, right? So your risk reward is 3 to 2, right? So on that one, you don't even necessarily have to be getting 50%, okay? But I'm saying if your 2-1 happens to sometimes go, way beyond what we can even show here, like 10 times that, then at that point, if that's the way that you are already taking it, you can get away with a very low win rate.
Lucas, great observation. So many don't understand this important concept.
But the problem is still with the way that I want to do it, which is, take the second contract off at the +8. You gotta have a certain win rate, and it seems like whenever I start doing that, like the math all makes sense, but whenever I start doing that, I start losing.
Bot says that long we talked about in S went for an MFE of 9 + 1/4 points.
Yeah, it did. But what was the MAE on it, right? I'm just saying the MAE on that is more than 4 to 8 points. You'd have to have a bigger stop to take that particular trade.
Ace Trade says at Lucas, it will happen when you earn the right to add another contract. We will just have that lurk in the back. Take advantages of long runs.
Okay, so there's the news. 694 versus an expected 730, so the news is not good. It's pushing it down there. I guess where I took my profit wasn't so bad. Anyways, so like compare that to what I took. Where is it? Here, right here. I need to best fit all columns. There we go. MAE of 3. And that one was like off of the open in extremely wild action. And I was able to get 64 out of it. But only 3 against me. Versus this other one that probably would have been my
Lucas says yes,
MAE
it
of
can
10.
certainly be done, but that's what I was thinking when I say it takes experience. Experience, which by the way comes along with adding lots to your trades, so I guess makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Michael ATF says hi.
So
Gary Rich says a turn has come, oil erasing the losses.
So let's look at that. So I took it at 32, 36. Okay. 32, 36. Now the up bar was 32.
Bot says within May of 2.25.
32, 44.25. We're talking about like right here, right? I don't want to actually take the trade. Okay, but if so, if we got the 36 and the 44, so that was 8. So that's 24.
Bot says I was answering your previous question.
Yeah, I got you. So that's 24. And then the break even of that would be 40. Break even of that would be 40, which they came close to, but they did not touch. So, in effect, you could have used that as an add to location, and you would have been okay. So the reason why I say that is the way that we want it is if we want our stop. When we take it long, we want to look at where is your break even, and is that further away than what our stop on this new trade should be. So our stop on this new trade should be plus 8. 4 to 8. Is this further than 4 to 8? It is. It's twice that. So we're okay to add it long here, because if it comes back, I can just take it off at 43 and be okay. And still make money. But Bot said the MAE was 2.25, so 10 ticks. No, 9 ticks. 9 ticks. So with my stop, definitely would have stopped out. So it's like you could potentially take that trade, but maybe only after it's like pushed back down a ton and then pushed up or something, like, I don't know, maybe there's some other thing that tells us that it's okay for us to take it there that's more short term, that gives us a guarantee of less less adverse ticks. But it seems to me that the particular locations that they want us to trade are too congested to take an 8 tick stop. Okay, well, I did have one trade that I wanted to take short that didn't turn. Didn't follow through. I really wanted to get as short in the treasuries, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. We might get a long here. So for that, those two are 24. Actually, it is suggesting long. Can I take that one? No. So here on this one, both bars are above this the moving averages, but one is red. So I don't know if that qualifies. That's not something that we to find out. So I don't know if that counts. I took that 27 a little too easily. All right. Hmm. Darn. I don't know if that one qualified for the Wyatt trade, but I definitely was seeing the order flow there.
Gary Rich
Just
says,
missed
Seth,
it.
did you read my comments on Discord about the cruise and airline stocks gonna be soft down? Wow. Thank God I own a border collie.
No, I didn't see that. Where were you posting that in? Is that just in the private messages? Oh, that's cool.
Gary Rich says in the lobby.
In the lobby. Oh yeah, let's see if the pre-market softly punishes cruise airline stocks and bid up into the biotech pharma and anything else related to the crisis. There it is. Always. Oh yeah, for sure. Hmm. They don't want to film me there.
Gary Rich says American Airlines 7%, Royal Caribbean 7% down.
7%? Wow. Oh, trying to practice clicking the order in when it's changing so that they won't see me. But I don't know if it matters, but that's what I was doing there. Well, the E-mini looks negative, but okay, there's just some sweeps there in the equities. Sweeps up. Sweeps up. That's gonna screw that trade up for sure. Oof. Yeah, they're gonna stop me right there. Curious impulse.
Ace Trade says at Gary Rich border collie.
in the end, by the time I took that, by the time I got filled, it definitely was not a signal. Because they were building too much volume at 24. But I was kind of more trying to pick something out of the range there. Because I saw how it had behaved when I had gotten in at 27 before. But I think it's okay.
Gary Rich says at Ace yes. Live Action says I hear those border collies are real smart.
Oh, yeah. Now it wants me to buy back in. No, I still need to see another bar with building volume at 25 or 26.
Gary Rich says holy crap these med, pharma, etc. jump 30+%.
Oh yeah, the pharma ones jump so much, but it happens really fast. There's one name I wish I could remember, but they make the like materials for vaccines, and they're up every time that there's one of these. There's some deep sin absorption at 27 there. I'm still not seeing ZB build the volume that I want. Oh wait, am I missing something? Yeah. Oh, I'm missing. I was really misreading something there. That was never a long. Okay. That last one was not a long. I didn't have my chart scrolled all the way over to the right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's finally the uptick that I would have wanted. I think that long, even I don't think that it should have qualified, but it wasn't a bad trade. Just, the timing was a little off, and sometimes that happens to you. Especially if you're only holding a 2-tick stop. Well, there was a decent amount of absorption there that time at 27.5. So. Hmm. 22.45.
Gary Rich says these are $10 under. Man MIF, IDOT for not doing this on Thursday and Friday, it was right there. I'm so retarded at times for not just buying the options, stupid dog, stupid dog.
Yeah, but how did you, I kind of questioned the probability or ability to have known that things would carry over through the weekend this strongly, you know? Like this time you're like, oh, the world's, this is worse than they think, and it's gonna be, okay. Next time does that same thing happen? Next time they comes out and people remember this, and then they think it's not so bad. Like I don't know what they expect to see on that is. Ugh. Well, the E-mini making some headway there. Maybe getting a
Gary
one
Rich
two
says the
one here.
24th the coronavirus notes were out. So think what gets hurt and bids up.
Yeah, but you would have been buying it off of they had already moved a ton, right?
Algo Lover says HAGD, thumbs up.
Thanks. Hey, no, you didn't tell us anything, Algo. Like they would have already been up pretty big on Friday, and then you'd be buying into them on the expectation that over the weekend they're going to go even higher. Not saying that it can't work, but it's a pretty risky move, especially when you factor in that it's the weekend. Man, saw one of those guys, they had owned the treasuries over and they held it through the weekend, and I'm like, what, really?
Gary Rich says yes, they all jumped 30+%.
They all jumped 30+% just over the weekend. How much are they
Gary Rich
since
says
last
today.
Monday, though? How much since last Monday?
Algo Lover says 8:07 a.m. Algo Lover S. If
There we
sellers
go.
sustain offer below 3,258.25, then 3,228 target. If 58.25 goes bid before continuation down, then anticipate potential squeeze higher. Nerd face still valid so far.
So they kind of they've definitely gotten through. Oh no, wait, they're not up through 58. He's saying it's still negative below 58. You're still kind of getting these strange pushes, like sell sweeps in the E-mini.
Gary Rich says no 30% today. That's huge for option call buying. Super in the money.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you looked at from over the past week to last Tuesday,
Algo
they
Lover
were
says
already
thumbs
up
up.
significantly. And then they got the 30% boost. So you would have been there on Friday and saying, okay, well, they're up like, 100% over the week. Is there really going to be more upside over the weekend? Mm-hmm.
Algo Lover says squeeze higher off the open to trap some overnight late sellers and now down finger.
Think so? Well, I'm not getting a signal yet, but it's awfully close for another long. And now that they're above 28. Okay. Doesn't seem to be holding my spots very well. What's with that? See the way they pull in. Well, that one shows it now. Suggests that I can do it. I don't know. The E-mini, the consensus selling in the E-mini is just a little bit too much. I don't know. It's just everything is trend risk off.
Algo Lover says bid the open to trap, stop, then catch folks chasing that bid and then trap some of them at higher prices. Rinse, repeat winking face.
But here's the thing is that I don't think that many people bought. Like the cumulative delta is all selling. They all sold it. They definitely all sold it. Like if there's a direction that has more stops, it's higher. There should be more stops triggered if we were to get above like 3250. That's 1, 2. 1, 2. The bars aren't all blue, but so maybe that matters. Well, I'll try it. ES being at 27 ain't or sorry, ZB being at 27 not necessarily a good thing for me. Nope, it's not happening, guys. I don't know if I'm reading that right. Obviously, it shouldn't work every time, but those ones just seem to be, as soon as I get in it, having trouble. And like I said, that what's going on over here in the E-mini looks a little unbalanced to me. Like I question their ability to make a new low of the day. Through all that, the cumulative delta falling.
Gary Rich says another retard incident. My hate for TSLA. 2019 profits vaporized, looked at the options in 90 days, 235k on 6k invested. Now how stupid hatred do I have for not going long TSLA?
Now that one is interesting because that one was definitely a case where the short sellers were way too negative on it, right?
Ace Trade says at Gary Rich, did you use the R word, bro?
Retard. like I'm not so sure that Tesla is worth what they're pricing it at, but I think that the only reason it's where it is because so many people shorted it. So treasuries are kind of sitting on a ledge here where like if they sell
Algo Lover says exactly, that's why we are monitoring for any break above 58.25B. See that WLD allow potential squeeze toward
Oh,
the
yeah.
ONH or higher OK hand.
I mean, at the pace that they're doing this, oh, that's still a good 10 points up though, huh?
Algo Lover says gotta run, enjoy, winking face.
Later.
Gary Rich says yes, I'm seriously R for that one. Self-deprecating is great. Thumbs up.
You heard it here first. Gary Rich is retarded, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth. Hmm. Hmm.
Ace Trades says at Gary Rich probably all the screen time. Lol.
Hmm.
Gary Rich says I used to ride the short yellow bus and lick the windows.
Lick the windows. What? I think they're gonna clear that 25. Then we see what happens. Look at the E-mini pushing. Okay, so they cleared it 3,000. Okay. Hmm. Cumulative delta is definitely building here in the E-mini, but I mean, they have like 10,000 people to stop out if they're gonna go long here. Hmm. 6K at 25, huh? Hmm. Nope. That sell sweep is still there. It's kind of freaking everybody out. See that?
Gary Rich says I did some volunteer work at a special needs place. Holy crap, are they funny? Talk massive crap and get away with it.
What?
I had so much fun, didn't want to leave.
Beijing reports coronavirus death case peoples daily. Okay. That's a weird headline because it's not a headline. One death in Beijing. Okay, so there's been a death from coronavirus in Beijing. That's not good. That's not good. We want out. I should have just set my bid at 25 because that's what I thought was. I wasn't sure about 25 4 half, but I thought that it would at least go offer and then I could decide to hit into 25, and it didn't work out that way. Okay. Well, the market's not freaking out too much from that headline yet. But I understand why the bears are not backing off.
M says video is out of the downed plane in AFG.
Video is out of the downplaned. What do you mean? Look at that. Hmm.
M says us military plane.
Oh, yes. Oh, there's a video of it. Oh.
M says the type officials fly on.
Right. Well, they said it was a surveillance plane.
M says not sure if shot down or just crashed.
I think that it got shut down, actually. And then the Taliban, the people survived, and the Taliban killed everybody on board, is what the Taliban claims. Well, this is curious. Some selling is coming into the E-mini, and the treasuries are having a hard time holding the bid.
M says Ye video is Afghanis walking around it.
Okay. E-mini getting a little more negative. They're going to beat out 32, 45, 75. Then that could get a little uglier. But like I said, this is another location that you're likely to have a lot of congestion and battling over the price. Right here, put an X on it. Hmm. 5-year bidding up there, but not quite taking and holding it yet. You're not reading into it. This is. I'm gonna guess that the market didn't completely understand that news story at first.
Gary Rich says we need a tweet saying Happy Chinese New Year, all fake news and corona, this trade is slew. I'm counting how many times Seth's bird chirps.
If this spreads to Beijing, that's really bad, right? That's essentially the fear with that headline, and the Global Times is reporting it, which is Chinese state media. Okay, here the E-mini is gonna make another run at this key level here. Treasuries are bidding up a little bit better this time. I want to take that back. The 5 years not completely on board. Okay. Too much trade both ways. Seems like someone is pretty determined to fade it here. At least in the treasuries.
Lucas says at ACE trades you around?
So a move like that would often indicate
Ace
a
Trade says
reversal,
at Lucas sort of in and out.
but it did not. It did not drop there. And look at the 5-year stacking. Bring this down so you can really
Lucas
see.
says just wanted to know which other MKTS should I watch alongside S.
Oh, I bet you he doesn't do that.
Ace Trade says at Lucas CL is a good one.
There was quite a bit of a battle there between 26 and 26.5. I'm glad I got out.
Lucas says does 6J affect it too? Ace Trade says at Lucas I don't think they correlate, it moves a lot and easy to get in and out of trades. Ace Trade says at Lucas no cause and effect.
Well, I don't know if it ever actually gave me a long signal today. I don't think it did. I think that the bars need to be blue. I've decided. So all of those that I took in the all three of those were probably shouldn't have taken.
Lucas says thanks exclamation mark. Ace Trades says at Lucas people have been searching for correlation for years. So far, there is none between markets.
They're a little slightly correlated this exchange, but not very strongly. Ooh.
Lucas says none that is 100% reliable, right? Ace Trades says I rest my case. Bots says agree 100% at ACE Trades.
There are definitely markets that are heavily correlated, though, right? The 6J and the 10-year are almost like 80% correlated.
Gary Rich says at Lucas pay attention to the OVX, it's the crude oil volatility index,
Now,
it matters.
now is that like a reason to trade them that way? No, because they should both move, you know? I would just be looking for like they're both doing what I expect them to do. And if they're not, then it suggests that maybe you don't want to take the trade. It could keep you out of a trade, but it's usually don't work. Well, it could keep you out of a trade. It could help you decide which instrument to trade, but I don't think they use it as an entry.
Lucas says thanks at Gary Rich, I'm afraid I will need another monitor. Bot says have a great day all, I'm out of here. Lucas says CYA John.
I wonder, is it? Can I switch over my Bitcoin? Not yet. Oh, I forgot to pick the Forgot to attach the charts. Don't tell me it did this again. I don't like it because I had to add a new function over here.
Ace Trades says at M. Ace Trades says not one of our jets. M says military confirming jet downed. 5 on board, communications plane, aka spy plane.
Oops, sorry. Let's see if that fixes it. No. I'm having some issues with my there we go. Fixed it. Had to make some changes to my Bitcoin valuation thing because the data that they were doing showing how many coins are in existence is like changed, and it doesn't take an observation every day all of the sudden. And so the line, my chart is a little less squiggly because I'm carrying forward the observations when it hasn't changed. That's kind of interesting. Although, but either way, it still says that we're overvalued. So, uh, all right, that last trade that I took over here in the treasuries was, I don't think any of these ever should have actually triggered, because here, if we come back to 630, there was this and this, but they're not like both above the line. That was maybe the one that we could take. Now, other than that, there was never two that were both blue. Right? And here it is in this one. I suppose that we could have taken 27 to 31. That's probably the one that we should have taken. Now, were we taking a trade in that area? I think that we were too busy looking at the E-mini. Yeah, we were. So I think that I missed the one trade that this, and then all of these other ones, I'm not quite sure why I do know why, because I would see like 2 above them and I said I could take it. Like that. But then that ends up being a red bar, right? That one. But then when we look on the 15-minute, you never get. So I don't think that that's very clear. So I think that I learned something today on that. I do have to be a little bit more stingy about it. So. What else do we got going on here? Let's see. You guys probably saying a bunch of stuff and it's not being read out. No, just a saying not one of our jets. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's like a huge piece of news or not. Treasuries are coming back up a little bit, though. What was my last trade? Was it long? Was it a long? It was a long. That was a long at 26.5. That one worked. That one would have worked.
Block buy.
Oh no, that one totally I should have held on to. But you'd get out right here. So 26.5 to 28. So I guess there was 2 that would have worked. Okay. I think we're going to give like 2 weeks to practice it, and then maybe we'll do some back testing based off of what I've learned, and then we'll try taking it a little bit more seriously. But right now, I think I'm still a little trying to figure out the places in which I should be messing with it and not. The E-mini does appear to be fallen. It is looking ugly. You would think that they would have been able to buy it up by now, right? Above the 58. I'm really surprised that they haven't. That must mean that the shorts have held on. Okay, well, it's time for me to go. I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.